I got cut off in my last video in the middle of this, but what you need to know is how do you cash in on the benefits of a diet and exercise regime like the one Frank Zane was talking about, which resulted in better longevity for the average person, the bodybuilder's diet and exercise program. Well, if you want to get the benefits, you don't have to really compete, but I would recommend getting a good book on bodybuilding. Maybe something like one of Frank Zane's books, following the nutrition advice in there, and remembering to concentrate on eating whole foods. But also remember to cut the calories down to what you're utilizing. You might need an app for that. So bodybuilding, training, and dieting is typically I wouldn't bulk and cut. And the reason why is, like Frank Zane says, by the time you bulk and by the time you cut, you're kind of back where you started. Benefits of bodybuilding. There are several health benefits associated with bodybuilding. Frequently exercising to maintain and build muscles. Performing both resistance and aerobic training. Resistance training, blah, 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 blah. Aerobic training, yada, yada, yada. With careful planning, bodybuilders can eat in a way that not only supports their efforts in the gym, but keeps them healthy too. And it will accentuate their health. It'll make their health greater if they eat the right way. Following a healthy eating pattern, including nutrient-dense foods, quality over quantity, from all food groups in appropriate amounts, can significantly lower your risk of chronic diseases. So keep that in mind. Eating nutrient-dense foods from all of the food groups in appropriate amounts can significantly lower your risk of chronic diseases. Bodybuilders exercise regularly. So, calorie needs, of course, you need to adjust your calorie needs to your particular calorie needs. And for this, you can use a calorie tracking app. I wouldn't recommend competitively bodybuilding because that's not necessarily healthy with the dehydration and things like that. So ignore the bulking phase because this is about, blah, blah, blah. Macronutrient ratio. So you want about 30 to 35% of your calories from protein, 55 to 60% from carbs, and 15 to 20% of your calories from fat. So basically a normal, healthy diet if you're concentrating on whole foods. Okay? That's what you need to understand. I would recommend staying in the cutting phase because, and I'm going to get into it later, the benefits of a calorie-restricted diet. Bodybuilding nutrition, foods to eat, foods to focus on, meats, poultry and fish, dairy, grains, fruits, starchy vegetables, seeds and nuts, beans, legumes, and oils. Foods to limit, alcohol, of course, added sugars, and deep fried foods. Okay, in addition, you should limit, and I would say avoid, high fat meats, buttery foods. So you're going to reduce the amount, like a regular healthy diet, you're going to reduce that. Now, I wouldn't recommend limiting high fiber foods. This is to stop the bloat. You don't have to worry about that if you're not competing. Bodybuilding supplements you should include whey protein, creatine. I would not include caffeine. And this is a basic, you can read this on your own, but the basic menu. Now, of course, if you want to kick the health-promoting aspects of bodybuilding up a notch, go vegan, okay? So still practice the exercises, the strength training, the aerobics, the stretching, okay? But kick it up a notch with a vegan bodybuilding diet. And honestly, these diets are appropriate for most forms of highly intense physical exercise, okay? A bodybuilding diet is appropriate for many different kinds of athletics, including gymnastics, including karate, etc. But how to implement the diet, blah, blah, blah. Fill up on high-protein plant foods. Yeah, right like that. Make sure to eat enough fat. Drink plenty of fluids. Educate yourself. That's very important. Potential benefits of a vegan bodybuilder diet. Okay, it reduces your heart disease risk. People following vegan diets seem to be at a significantly lower risk of developing heart disease. This may be partly attributed to a reduced intake of saturated fats and cholesterol and a higher intake of fiber and various plant compounds. Traditionally, vegans tend to have lower blood pressure and levels of total LDL or bad cholesterol. Moreover, the vegan bodybuilding diet is high in fruits and vegetables, which contain a good amount of dietary fiber. High fiber intake has been associated with a lower incidence of stroke and heart disease. It can promote a healthy body weight. Those following a vegan diet typically have a lower body mass index than those following a traditional diet. One 16-week study looked at the effects of the vegan diet on 75 people with excess fat or excess weight. It found the vegan diet to be more effective at improving body weight, fat mass, and insulin resistance markers than a controlled diet. It may protect against certain kinds of cancers. The effect is likely due to the increased legume, fruit, and vegetable intakes associated with the vegan diet, which lead to high fiber, micronutrient, and phytonutrient intakes. The vegan diet has also been linked to a reduction in BMI. A high BMI is another risk factor for certain types of cancer. The vegan bodybuilding diet is rich in fruit. Okay, wait. So some downsides of the vegan diet, it can increase your risk of nutrient deficiencies. That's why there's supplements. So they're saying you may need to take a vegan multivitamin. Ensure proper intake of the above nutrients. Vegan omega-3 supplements are also available. I would also suggest getting your ferritin checked, or maybe just taking an iron pill. People overly exaggerate the dangers of iron. So long, especially on a vegan diet, if you're not going batshit crazy and down on like 85 iron tablets, you should be okay with the regular amount of iron that a person needs. Or just take a multivitamin with iron in it. Higher fiber diet, a potential downside of the excessive high fiber intake. Generally, consuming too much fiber can cause digestive issues such as bloating, excessive flatulence, and abdominal pain. That's what they make enzymes and gas pills for. It can be tough to meet your protein and calorie needs. That's not really true. But vegan diets, the problem is you're going to be consuming a lot more fiber to meet your protein needs. May be overly restrictive for some people. Yeah. Foods to eat. Okay, keep this in mind. Foods to eat. Beans and legumes. Hemp, flax, sunflower, and chia seeds. They forgot pumpkin seeds. Definitely eat pumpkin seeds. Eat a shit ton of pumpkin seeds. Quinoa and amaranth. Meat substitutes. Soy products. Calcium fortified plant milks and yogurts. Spirulina. Vegan protein powders, nutritional yeast. Sprouted grains and sprouted grain breads. Oats, fruits and vegetables. Whole grains and cereals. Nuts and nut butters. Tahini. Healthy oils. Vegan dark chocolate. Dietary supplements. Consider the taking vegan protein powder, blah blah blah, and B12, of course. So the nutrients that a vegan diet typically lacks are calcium, iron, zinc, and vitamin B12 and D. So of course, take a multivitamin with iron, and that it should have zinc in it. You might want to take a little extra zinc. You don't usually have to. And of course, everybody probably should be taking 5,000 IUs of vitamin D a day. Now, before I get into that, keep in mind, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a MD, not a DO, not an ND, not a chiropractor, not a nurse, not an LPN, not an RN, not a CNA, none of that crap. I'm not a nutritionist, not a dietitian, not a physical therapist, nothing like that. Some other supplements to consider taking are creatine, beta-alanine. These are two well-studied compounds, are naturally found in meat products and available in vegan-friendly varieties. Foods to avoid, of course, animal foods. Foods that might not be vegan-friendly. Some breads, blah, 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 blah. Dark chocolate, vegan junk food, of course, don't eat that. And mock meats and cheeses. I actually have started to stay away from the mock meats. I started reacting to them in a way. And this is the sample menu. Moving on. So arginine, which if you're going to take arginine, take L-citrulline, because you actually use it better as L-citrulline than you do arginine. L-citrulline converts to L-arginine better than arginine does when you ingest it. But L-arginine is hypothesized to prevent cardiac arrhythmias by nitrous oxide stabilization of the sinus node. Cardiac arrhythmias have no known cause in otherwise healthy people and are hypothesized to be symptoms of deficiencies of taurine and arginine. So this is another study, elimination of cardiac arrhythmias using oral taurine and L-arginine, hypothesis for nitrous oxide stabilization. L-arginine is hypothesized to prevent cardiac arrhythmias by nitrous oxide stabilization of the sinus node. Cardiac arrhythmias have no known blah blah blah. It's the same thing. I think it's just a different link. Moving on. So this is a total protein calculator available at calculator.net. And it gives you a breakdown of the different proteins and the grams of the different amino acids that you need and all that jazz. Moving on. Sorry, that last one was just a total protein calculator. Now this is showing the amino acids in beans, in 1 cup of beans. Now you'll notice it provides, so this is 1 cup of beans, 1 serving of black beans, okay? And it provides you with 58% of your daily amount of cysteine. You're going to want more of that if you're a bodybuilder. It provides with 61% of histidine, isoleucine, leucine, so 45%, 50%, 31%, 94%, threonine, 61%, tryptophan, 65%, tyrosine, 49%, valine, 44%. Now these are your essential 9, your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So these are 11 essential amino acids, or some of them are conditionally essential. But my point is, these are all in your plant foods, okay? But what you need to understand, you can get more than enough of these simply by eating more beans. Why am I saying that? Now, I'm not saying that brown rice isn't good for you or that you shouldn't eat brown rice, but you'll see that number of servings, 1, this is 1 cup of brown rice. It doesn't provide very much of your essential aminos, does it? Not very much at all. So you would have to eat a whole lot of rice. If anything, you're taking away the essential aminos present in by cutting the beans with the brown rice. You're not adding missing essential aminos. You should simply just eat more beans. Now, I'm somebody that's a big fan of the Wahls protocol, okay? Now, I'm somebody that can eat 6 cups of Brussels sprouts for lunch, okay? So 6 cups of Brussels sprouts, they're not very balanced. They have no tyrosine. But look at the beauty. Look at the daily allowance they're providing for all these wonderful amino acids. So if you're eating a high amount of beans and adding some Brussels sprouts throughout the day, one of your meals is Brussels sprouts, one of your meals is beans, you get like 4 cups of beans for a meal, come back for seconds, you know, maybe 2 cups and then another 2 cups, and you have 3 cups of Brussels sprouts for lunch, a little bit of olive oil, 2 cups of blueberries, 3 cups of blueberries, 4 cups of blueberries in a blender for breakfast. You got a pretty decent amount of protein in your diet for the average person, especially if you're doing a non-punishing, you know, like a yoga type exercise plan, a daily yoga exercise plan. Maybe eat a little more food if you're doing cardio, etc. Okay, moving forward.